Namaste, beautiful souls. It's Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. Welcome to my channel. This transmission today is for the rising signs, everyone's rising sign for the coming lunar eclipse on Sunday, September 7th of 2025. So what I thought I'd do today is try to get real personal with you. Do the readings as if we're doing them live, one-on-one, or if I'm doing a recording for you. These can be very deep, very personal, about as personal as I can get with the general public. But you will need to know your rising sign. So what we'll do today is we'll analyze the sky in general during the lunar eclipse, which is a full moon. We'll explain what that looks like astronomically, astrologically, using the actual sky. And we'll also look at Three Eye Atlas a little bit. And then we'll weave the astrological energy of Three Eye Atlas into the astrology of this full moon lunar eclipse. Once we do that, then we will go through the rising signs. And I will give you guys a special treat. I'll take a moment and just give you a personal reading on what that rising sign means to me. So we will get into it. I have announcements in the middle of it, but I thought we'd just go ahead and get started. So thank you all so much for being here. I'm so happy and excited to record this for you. I have been very busy. I've had quite a few hospital shifts this week. Work, it's the curse of the busy. So I've been doing that and just trying to get some recordings and some writing done and planning some things too. So a lot of things going on in the background. And I think we will probably go live later this week on Tuesday. So I look forward to seeing you all there live. All right, let's get into it. All right, friends, first things first. As astrologers, we have to take a walk outside. We have to actually look up and see what's going on. This is the map above us. This is the so above, as above, and we are the so below. And the idea is that how can something so far away affect us here personally on the inside so deeply? And that's the magic of astrology. And so what we would do when a baby was born or something happened in the collective is we would go outside and we would look up and we would see what the stars were telling us. Now, as a modern people, we don't have to weather the elements. We can grab this beautiful software and we can take ourselves outside and then we can actually manipulate the sky. So I've frozen the sky in time at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, the 7th of September, to freeze the moment in time of this lunar eclipse full moon. The line you see here is the ecliptic line, and I can take that away or add it through my settings on this program. But I like it in there because it keeps us oriented. And the other thing you can do with stellarium-web.org is throw in the constellations, throw in their lines, take out the atmosphere, and then the coup de grace is taking out the landscape. So we can manipulate and move this whole sky around. So what I'd like to show you is the actual position of the moon. And because it's eclipse, it's actually really hard to see. But there it is right there in Aquarius. So don't believe them when they tell you the moon's in Pisces this coming weekend, because it's not. It's going to be in the deep waters of Aquarius, conjunct our collective north node, which is right here. And the sun is across the sky in Leo, and the sun cannot reflect off of the moon because the earth is in between the sun and moon, and they're right at that perfect point where the moon crosses the sun's ecliptic. That's why we have eclipses. So full moon in Aquarius. Usually this light would blind us and we wouldn't even be able to see the stars of Aquarius, but now we can see Aquarius across the sky. If we're on the other side of the world from where I am right now, it would be nighttime and you would be able to witness this. Here in the Americas, we will not see this moon eclipse. Nonetheless, the energy affects the entire planet. So there it is. There's Saturn and Neptune in the stars of Pisces. That is very obvious. Neptune won't actually be in Aries, guys, until 2040. And then, of course, for this program, if we want to find Pluto, if we believe the mainstream astrology, it would tell us that Pluto's right here in Aquarius, when in actuality, it is here at 0 degrees of Capricorn. So there you have it. There's our sky. If we follow the ecliptic around, we can see Virgo. Mars is in Virgo. Sun is in Leo with Mercury. And Venus is about to leave Cancer and enter into Leo. It's almost as if Cancer is serving up Venus into the jaws of Leo. And here we have Jupiter in Gemini, and then Uranus in Taurus next to the Pleiades. Uranus is not in Gemini, guys. We need to ground the cosmic codes of Uranus before we step into the mental realm of Gemini, or our nervous systems would be fried. So those of you trying to channel Uranus energy through Gemini, if you're feeling fried, that's why you're not ready yet. You need to ground that into your body. So that's our sky. I wanted to orient you to time and space. We can get back on the earth here, put everything back in its place. You can see that beautiful ecliptic. All right, let's get into this astrology energy. So I entitled this energy the dark mirror. And when you think of a full moon, it is the sun and the moon looking across the sky at one another. I mean, we're here on Earth, so we don't see them looking at each other. But if you step out into space, they're looking straight at one another. And so it's always a mirror energy, sort of like a reflection, projection kind of energy. And then you add on the shadow of the Earth over the surface of the moon, and we get a dark mirror. There's a technique where you can take like a blank picture frame or a blank tablet screen, and get a candle and put it in front of you and turn the lights off, and then use the mirror to see yourself. And you just sort of soften your gaze. And a lot of really cool things can happen when you gaze into the dark mirror, because you're using a second sight. You're using a sight that's not available to you in your daily waking alert life. You need to be a little bit like, in the those lower brainwave frequencies, and this works. So if we think of this lunar eclipse as a dark mirror, and we look at our rising sign, we might be able to get a little bit more of a personal touch about what we are going to be contemplating through this experience. So every eclipse has a number assigned to it within a numbered Saros cycle. And this one is no different. So this Saros cycle is number 128. It is the 41st eclipse of a series of 71 eclipses. I have previous presentations on lunar eclipses and the exogelagmos that, is associated, and why that we have these Saros cycles. But just know that that's the assigned number. If one of my colleagues, Michael, good friend of mine, he does an analysis of the Saros cycle by going all the way back to the first eclipse. And so I'll refer you to his channel for the last video he did. He talked about the first eclipse within the cycle of these 71 eclipses. And that gives you some more energy that you can also use when you're thinking about this eclipse for yourself. So these are fun numbers to decode. So I'll be doing that probably in our live stream. Yeah, I want to decode this eclipse. I want to decode 3i Atlas, and I want to give you guys a Venus forecast for Leo, at least a little bit of it. Here's the astronomy of eclipses. So a lunar eclipse, which is what we're going through right now on the 7th of September, is when the moon is on the opposite side of the Earth and sun. So Earth is in the middle. And the Earth casts a shadow over the moon, which is why it's called a blood moon or a dark moon. A solar eclipse, which we are going to have on the 21st of September, is when the moon moves around half of its cycle into the position between Earth and sun. And so we get a shadow on the Earth now from the sun, because the rays of the sun are not able to get to the Earth. Okay. And then, of course, there's the apocalypse with the sun between the Earth and the moon. This would be very, very bad. This is not what 3i Atlas is bringing us, by the way. Who knows when the apocalypse is going to come? And then, of course, alpacalypse. You can't go through all this serious energy and not just laugh a little bit about, some of the things we have to go through. So that's just a brief explanation of what eclipses are and why they matter is they're portals, because this point where the eclipses occur, where you see me making an X here, is where two ecliptic planes cross. It's the crossing of the moon's ecliptic as it orbits the earth, and it's the crossing of the solar system's ecliptic as the sun goes around the earth goes around the sun. And there's a difference of about 5 degrees. So what you will typically notice over the course of a month or so, and for those of you that already know this, just forgive me, but I like to explain this because sometimes there's an aha moment when we don't get it. So if you were to take this zodiac wheel and just uncoil it, from end to end and lay it out flat, what you're going to notice is that the moon travels like this over the course of a month, makes a sine wave over the ecliptic. So if the signs are here, this is what we see. And so as the moon moves up above the ecliptic, this is called the north node, which is this guy right down here. And then when we go below the ecliptic, it's the south node, which is this guy up here. Okay, so you have your north and your south node. And when the sun lines up with this, that lunation has eclipses. Sometimes the solar eclipse is first and the lunar eclipse is second. Sometimes the lunar eclipse is first and the solar eclipse is second. Sometimes you have a lunar eclipse, a solar eclipse, and then another lunar eclipse. It just depends on the proximity of the sun and moon to these points in the sky. So these are not actually luminaries, they're just points in the sky. Now, when we're looking at astrological charts, these can take on a lot of meanings, these nodes. For example, the south node typically speaks to what you've already learned, what you already are comfortable with doing, with understanding. Sometimes it could be energy from your past life here. I want to change my ink color. That's what I'm trying to do. There we go. Past life, comfortable energy, karmic patterns. This is what we're really, really, really good at. Okay. So when we speak of it in a collective sense, and we want to talk about the collective's south node, this is the energy of the child. It's joy, it's love, it's romance, it's fun. So we might be with the sun here, who rules Leo. The sun is the ruler of the constellation of Leo. What we have here is the sun in its house, its home, it's happy. It wants to play. It wants to have fun. It wants to romance. It wants to be in joy. This is all very innocent, beautiful energy, but it's also very divine. Because in a lot of ways, the spiritual texts and the Hermetic teachings almost tell us to just relax and enjoy the ride, and we get so worried and wound up in our minds about what's happening next or what we're supposed to do. And it's almost funny when you think about it, all the things that we worry about. And then as time moves on, we realize we don't have to. But there's so much here that we can enjoy and so many blessings around us that we can recognize. It's also about authentic performance. Leo's in the spotlight. Leo is a sunny energy. Everybody sees Leo. And Leo often reflects the darker energies of people when they come at Leo in a way that isn't authentic, which is why Leo seems egotistical. Although Leos, if they practice authenticity, their joy and their happiness is just absolutely abundant and it spreads all around. So in general, I feel like this is a great lunation being in Leo. Like it really is joyful energy, but we do also have a lot of very heavy energies in the sky too. So that's south node, just kind of remembering the joy. And then the north node is right here at the very first degrees, at least for the nodal energy, because they always move in this direction. This is the first degrees of Aquarius, but actually like the 23rd or 24th degree. But the north node is here, and the north node is saying, yeah, this is what we're working towards. This is what we need to go for. Notice the numbers too. There's like 33 degrees for the south node and 21 degrees for the north node. And these are special numbers in the decodes that I do. But this North Node is about collective energy. It's about friends. It's about groups. It's about community. It's about working for the greater good. And so we're all striving towards that. Some people also speak of integrating technology into our spirituality through Aquarius, uh, advances in technology, things like that. So, how do we maintain our authenticity in a ever more artificial and silicone type world? And that's our dilemma right now. That's what we're working on as a collective. So, the moon's there, and the moon will be highlighting this, but will also be eclipsed. So, in other words, there's a vacancy here of light that is often thought of as a portal. And you can think of this whole system as a giant toroidal field where energy is coming in this way or this way, however you want to look at it, and coming out. Maybe it's coming in through both ways because you're in the middle here. You're the creator in the middle, pulling all this energy towards you in order to create. Here's what's so beautiful about this is we have this beautiful geometry, two really nice structures that create an ease. And you're going to see these points here, and it includes the nodes and the sun and the moon. And what you get is a grand trine with Jupiter and Black Moon Lilith, and then a Black Moon Lilith sextile to the sun and south node, and a Jupiter sextile to the sun and south node. So, wow, there you are standing in the middle, pulling in this divine energy from Leo and this collective energy from Aquarius. And you've got this portal of energy where you, as a creator, have a much higher access to it because of the eclipse of the moon. The moon's a funny thing. One of these days, we have to have a real conversation about the moon and its nature and what it actually does to us. Is it a transmitter? Is it real? Is it hollow? Those sorts of questions. But that body is eclipsed. And so you've got this powerful access of energy that you can access. And you also get to use all the energy that's been shunned, that's been banished, which is Black Moon Lilith. And then you can expand your mind with it, right? So expand your mind into the unknown, into the untouched, into the banished. Allow the joy of the unknown to come through for you. And allow the expansion and watch it propel you towards our collective destiny. That's what this is supposed to do. So then over here, I've added 3i Atlas because you can't add this to any astrology charts right now. Check out the last video I did. This comet actually originated right here in the Eagle Nebula, the nursery of stars, and has been racing towards our sun at 137 miles per hour and has moved through these constellations and is now parallel with our ecliptic and has moved in, oh no, and moved into Libra a couple of weeks ago. On the 21st, the day of the solar eclipse, this comet will move into Virgo. And this comet is highlighting Black Moon Lilith, which is similar to the nodes. It's not really an actual point. It's the apogee point of the asteroid Lilith. So we have 3i Atlas, this cosmic seed, this cosmic guardian, this energy of the serpent fertilizing, coming in, invading the cosmic egg of our solar system, bringing in new data, new DNA, new upgrades, new codes to our solar system by way of the first energy it meets is Black Moon Lilith, which is probably the most powerful point in the chart. Second, I mean, Pluto might be second, but this is the darkness. This is Nyx. This is void. This is the space of creation, the space of potentials. And that cosmic DNA is landing right in the heart of that. And I just think that's so interesting. This is part of our Grand Trine kite. And Jupiter wants to know it with Gemini, wants knowledge, wants to exchange with it, wants to understand it, wants to expand into it. And so that's why I think this comet is blowing up, because it's coming from a place of darkness, of places where it wasn't seen. And now by way of our space of creation, our void space, it's making itself known. After the solar eclipse and into October, this comet will disappear behind the sun. It's moving retrograde, by the way. Retrograde. So it's going to keep going this way. It'll make a conjunction with Mars. It'll make a conjunction with the sun, and then it'll make a conjunction with Venus, and then it will pass by Jupiter and head on out the other side of the galactic bands. So it came in this way, and it's going to go all the way around and leave this way. So it's part of this grand trine kite. And I just think that's so interesting. This is really, really a new kind of energy that we've never experienced before. Now, Jupiter has a little bit of tough energy in a square with Mars in Virgo. Virgo Mars is probably like the most finicky Mars there is, but this Mars does really well when it's grounded in nature. When this Mars can bury itself in the dirt or walk barefoot or ground or hug a tree, they're much more useful. They're also much more useful if they have one or two things to focus on rather than 600 things. They're also very useful when you want to completely wipe out what you've already done and start over from the bottom up. So we can channel some of this energy. Now, what this may mean is that this expansive energy that Jupiter is experiencing with 3i Atlas and Black Moon Lilith, it feels a bit tense. It feels like, well, okay, I thought it was going to be this way, but the new information that Jupiter's allowing us to expand into, it's got to be done differently now, and Mars needs to be okay with that. So how do we constructively do that? Maybe without destroying everything, Mars. Maybe just, go hug a tree and come back and let's do something constructive with this energy. Black Moon Lilith is square to Venus. And Venus has just left Cancer and has moved into Leo. This is a much fiery Venus. I've really felt sort of the quiet, sacred space of Venus through Cancer, just sort of going inward, connecting with spirit, moving in a guided way, not really worrying about deadlines or anything like that, just sort of going with the flow, like water energy, to now a fire energy. So on this full moon eclipse, Venus is going to turn on like a spark, and she's going to poke at the energy of 3i Atlas and Black Moon Lilith. So there may be some shift in how we do things creatively, what we bring to the surface, what we show to the world because of this aspect. It's not painful. Venus isn't painful energy. Black Moon Lilith doesn't have to be. It's just, it's kind of being okay with what's hidden and setting yourself free. It's a freedom. That freedom can be uncomfortable, especially if you're shy in the spotlight. But this is asking that energy to be expressed in a creative way. So we've got some tension in our star-crossed lovers here across the chart from each other. They're aspecting points on this grand trine kite in a way that can be very constructive, very helpful. Relationships may be flipped around and switched around because of this. Mars is also in an opposition to Chiron. Chiron is hanging out in Pisces, in late Pisces. And this is the disconnection from spirit. This is literally what our collective deep wound is looking at all of this duplicity, duality, and darkness, and trying to find a source of love and light in all of that. And love and light sounds nice, and spiritual bypassing is what some people call it. But those people that truly are in love and light, they've done the work. They've done the shadow work. They've accepted their imperfect selves. They've accepted the darkness in the world, and they understand its purpose. So that's the journey of Chiron here in Pisces, is to realize that the mechanism by which we experience this duality, and how that deep wound can also become our greatness. So there's a balancing here between getting things done and being the victim. Who are you, and how do you serve your public? Maybe it's time to kind of let all that stuff go and really step up and be great. Show Mars how great you are, so that Mars can do the work that needs to be done. So that Mars and Venus can bring in that new Earth energy that this comet is trying to seed our solar system with. So a few more aspects to consider before we move on to the individual rising signs. This is a long lasting aspect right here between Pluto and Uranus being in a trine to one another. This is freedom, rebellion, invention, individuality. It's disruption. It's jolts of electricity. And it's in a trine with the planet that clears the field, that empties the vessel so that we can start anew. And it requires authenticity. And it both being in earth signs, it means that the ground is going to shake, time is going to flip, time's going to slow down and speed up. And the only thing that survives the tremors of space time like that is pure authenticity, because that's what's going to take root in both Capricorn and Taurus here to be what we begin to grow in our garden. And that transformation has just got an ease and flow to it. So the moment something new and cosmic comes through, Pluto will be at the ready to change reality for you to make that happen. And then right in the middle of it is Saturn and Neptune making some nice sextiles, opening doorways, allowing a surrender to these new instructions, to these new codes, to these new vibrations. Saturn and Uranus get along really well together too, because basically Uranus is the bridge between Saturn and Uranus, Saturn being all that is known and that can be known, and Neptune, everything that is unknown that will never be known. And Uranus is connecting those two in a beautiful sextile. And then these two are surrendering to the transformation of Pluto and saying, yes, we must accept the changes that are coming. It's almost as if the OGs are all sort of holding court, holding a circle for us to be supported as we move on this grand kite energy. This is really a very interesting sky. It's very poetic. It's very synchronistic. It's very beautiful energy. So what does this mean for me, Dr. Danny? Well, I want to personalize this for you all just a little bit. And the best way to do that, and this is a little harder, so I don't do these all that often, but eclipses are special occasions, is to find your true sky ascendant. And the way that you want to do that is to find your birth chart. You want to find your true sky birth chart. And your birth time is essential if you're working with ascendant energy. I know some of you don't know your true birth time. If you look at your birth certificate, it could be on there. If you ask people that were alive around the time of your birth, it could be there. If you do muscle testing or body testing, you can probably figure out your birth time. You can also work with an astrologer through a rectification process to find out when your true birth time was. Okay, so you must have that in order to know your true sky ascendant. So those of you that don't know right now, just listen and play along. If something resonates with you, that may be a clue as to what your true ascendant is. Okay. You can go to stellarium-web.org and change the time and date on stellarium-web to your birthday and time and look in the eastern sky. You can do that. You can also go to drdanny.com free chart and fill in the chart calculator details and click enter. And then when it generates your chart, you look for the ACS. It's going to be on the left side of the chart. And that's your ascendant sign. So whatever sign straddles the ACS is your ascendant. So let's go back at this chart and just look at it. So if you were to run this birth chart, you would see that Scorpio is the ascendant because we're looking on this left side of the chart. And then if we go into Stellarium, we would just look for the E for East, and whichever constellation is rising is your true sky constellational ascendant sign. And why does that matter? Well, I'm going to read these to you. I want you to do your chart. I want you to find your ascendant. I'm going to read ascendant energy to you as a little gift. Then we're going to read how this eclipse is going to affect you based on where the house positions will be of the kite and of the eclipse energy. And this may be different than what you had in tropical astrology. So I will have timestamps below for if you already know and you want to just jump right to your ascendant sign, go for it. That reading is for you. I appreciate you. But before I get into the individual energies, I just want to do a few announcements. Stellar Foundations is starting on Monday, next Monday. So a week from Monday, we are getting going. We are going to start with live office hours 1. We're going to, this has actually changed. I'm going to show you all your software options, and then we're going to just start reading charts like right away. Week 1, you jump into Pluto, Scorpio in the 8th house. If you sign up now, you can get the prerequisites done. Some of you have already done this, and now it's time to jump in. Okay. I've reduced the price because I'm not doing the software anymore, but don't worry, you'll still get some sort of software to work with, and we will get you guys up and running. So check out that. That link is below. Also, get a reading. Sometimes it's just hard to figure out what's going on in your own chart when these astronomical and astrological portals come through our field. And so just you can get a 90-minute consultation, a 60-minute consultation with me. I can do a natal chart reading for you. There's also a link below. These are freakishly accurate and sometimes life-changing. And then there's ways to connect with me and the community. You can join the Fellowship of 13 Sign Astrology on Facebook. You can become a channel member, become a stargazer for $4.99 a month and support the work that we're doing over here, the research that we're doing here. You get videos like this first. We also have a monthly Zoom call meeting where we discuss the astrology or any relevant questions that you guys have towards your own charts. And then, of course, don't forget to sign up for this free event. It's a Zoom call on Saturday, September 27th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern. It is Athen Chementi, Gary O'Toole, and myself will be the keynote speakers. There's also several other speakers, and I am going to be presenting some research on the Phoenix angle, the Golden Phoenix angle. So I hope that you guys will be there and support this wonderful organization as it lifts off the ground. And then before I jump into this, I just want to pause and just express my deepest gratitude to all of you that have stepped up to support this channel. You guys know who you are. This is all of you, and I really, really appreciate you. And thank you for coming to all of my live streams and giving me the thumbs up and the bams and the beautiful emojis. It really is so fun and cool to be alive right now and to be able to do this kind of work with people all over the world. And so I am so thankful for all of you. All right, let's get into the lunar eclipse by your rising sign. Okay, Scorpios, you are first. Actually, Scorpio and Ophiuchus are together in one, because if you look to the eastern sky and you locate Scorpio and Ophiuchus as an ascendant energy, you're going to find them laying side by side where the ecliptic goes straight up. Remember that red ecliptic line that we worked with when we looked at stellarium? So this is you, Ophiuchus and Scorpio, either one. If you notice that the one or both of those energies is in your first house or straddling your ACS symbol on the left side of your chart, this is your energy. Okay, so you guys are healers. You guys are sin eaters. You're extremely aloof on the outside. And that aloofness creates a magnetism. Y'all are some just sexy souls. People want to be all up around you and figure out what you are. Okay. You guys tend to not want to engage in sort of the niceties like, how's the weather? Yeah, how's your mom? You would rather go, what's this hole in your soul right here? Like, you would rather just go deep into those kinds of conversations. You guys want to get at the heart of fear and trauma and turn it into practical, applicable, transformational knowledge. You want to bring everything that's dark into the sunlight. Y'all are really good at triggering people inadvertently or on purpose, especially when people come at you falsely. It's almost as if you can see right through them. And when false people come at someone like you, they get triggered. They either love you or they hate you. So, as a partner, you guys tend to really want to know another's soul as deeply as you can. And so everyone that's around you needs to be comfortable with being vulnerable. Those that are not comfortable being vulnerable are the ones that have problems themselves. It's not you guys. So I have two screens going on here. Now, Ophiuchus has a little bit of a different energy. We can add this into it too. I mean, they're a spectrum of the same energy, right? Because Ophiuchus is the serpent bearer. And this gives you guys, not only do you have the magnetism of Scorpio, but you also have a radiance of spirit. You all need to take on the pain of another, or you have no connection to the divine. And you can do healing works, miraculous healing works. You have that capacity. The one thing that will bring you peace is when the collective is finally healed. And so this is what you work for. This is what you strive for. Um, you do have a tendency to take on others' wounds as your own. So you need to be very careful of that. You must heal yourself above all other things, either Scorpio or Ophiuchus, if you have this sign on your ascendant. Here's a chart so we can see what this looks like, and we can see where the eclipse. Now, you'll notice it's exactly the same chart I just printed. That's why I started with that, because we've already been staring at that. So Scorpio and Ophiuchus rising, you're going to have a 10th house sun and a 4th house moon. Okay. You're also going to have Saturn and Neptune either at the cusp of your 4th house or in your 5th house. And the grand trine is a 12th, 8th, and 4th house energy, while you've got the support of the celestials in your 2nd and 6th house. The Chiron and the Mars opposition is in your 5th and 11th house. All right, let me I have a few notes on these. Let me just see how this sounds for you guys. Oh, and 3i Atlas with Black Moon Lilith is here in your 12th house. So this eclipse axis unfolds across the axis of career and home, pulling you between the stage of public life and the sanctuary of your roots. With the sun, Mercury, and the south node overhead, the temptation to keep proving yourself through titles, recognition, and the authority of your voice. Yet the moon and the north node in your foundation reminds you that true growth now comes from grounding in family, ancestry, and inner stability. What you cling to in public may be eclipsing what truly needs your care in private. The kite pattern reveals that Jupiter in your house of intimacy and the Black Moon Lilith rising from your unconscious are feeding the moon's pull towards authenticity. Expansion comes through deep trust, shared vulnerability, and an honest relationship with the wild feminine. But this means you cannot hide from what has been silenced. Black Moon Lilith insists that you face what has been buried. Venus enters the fiery terrain of belief and philosophy, but her square with Lilith warns against bypassing the raw and messy for the polished and the acceptable. Mars is energizing your friends and networks, yet he pushes against Jupiter, testing whether your involvement in community drains you or truly supports your transformation. At the same time, Mars opposes Chiron, stirring old wounds around creativity, pleasure, and children. You may feel torn between your duty to others and the need to tend to your own vulnerable heart. The outer planets hum in the background, urging profound restructuring. Uranus shakes loose your routines and health, trining Pluto in your house of value and security, while both sextile Saturn and Neptune in your home sector. This is a deep rewiring. The way you live day to day, the way you define your worth, and the illusions you have carried about your family are all dissolving and reforming. This message is clear. Your foundation must be real, not built on fantasy or external approval. And hanging in the Libra sky, Comet 3i Atlas with Black Moon Lilith speaks of an interstellar balancing act. It's a cosmic omen that the wild feminine is not just personal, but collective, even galactic. The scales tipping toward truth, and you are part of that rebalancing. Of course, it's going to be deep for you, Scorpio and Ophiuchus risings. You guys are wild. Your energy is like a chameleon too. Sometimes the ascendant energy is the vibe we give off, and you're very good at blending into the background but being a very magnetic source of energy, and it's disorienting for people to have your ascendant. All right, let's move on to Libra. Look at that. Look what's in your ascendant, Libra. Oh my goodness, it's that comet. Wow, that must feel pretty intense. I would love for Libras, if you can, to comment and let me know, if you're a Libra rising, how this comet feels for you. Yeah, so this is what it would look like on the eastern sky. I'm just staring at this image. Sorry for pausing, but I'm like, whoa, this is so intense. Okay. So when we look at your chart, here we have that Libra rising, Black Moon rising, and Sun is in your 11th house, and Moon is in your fifth house. You also have Saturn and Neptune in your fifth house, Chiron in your sixth house. The trine between Jupiter, Lilith, and Moon is first, ninth, and fifth house. And then seventh, third, and fifth for the OGs. The Mars Chiron opposition is the sixth and the 12th house. So for Libra rising, this eclipse opens on the axis of community and creativity. With the Sun, Mercury, and the South Node in your 11th house, there is a temptation to cling to old networks, groups, or collective identities that once gave you belonging. Yet the Moon with the North Node in your fifth house is pulling you toward your own creative fire. This is the house of joy, romance, children, and play. It is where your soul remembers how to create simply because creation itself is necessary. The eclipse is reminding you that growth will not come from blending into the crowd. It comes from daring to stand out, to take risks, and to create from the heart. Saturn and Neptune retrograde in your fifth make this a calling both demanding and sacred. You are being asked to dissolve illusions around what joy should look like, while also committing to the discipline of giving structure to your creative life. Jupiter in your ninth house expands your horizons, urging you to seek wisdom through philosophy, travel, or higher study, but only in ways that support the fire of your own creation rather than distracting you with abstraction. Black Moon Lilith, a three-eye atlas rising through your first house, demands a karmic authenticity in how you show yourself to the world. This energy will not allow you to hide behind niceties or polished images of Libra. In fact, there's a whole new energy. It's a raw energy. It's an untamed presence, and you're being asked to balance that. Venus at the top of your chart in the 10th house makes your public life and reputation luminous, but her square to Lilith warns against taming your voice for the sake of appearances. True authority for you now comes only through radical honesty. That's a tough road, Libra. Mars in your 12th house stirs the hidden layers of your psyche. Old frustrations and unconscious patterns may rise, especially as he opposes Chiron in your 6th house of health and service. Pay attention to what your body is telling you. It reveals the way your inner conflicts are manifesting in your daily life. Uranus in your 7th house electrifies your partnerships and presses you toward greater freedom and awakening in the way you connect with others. Pluto in your 3rd house is transforming your patterns of thought and communication. The words you speak now are being stripped down to truth rather than smoothed over in harmony. Yeah, so the ground is shaking in your 3rd, 7th, and 5th house, and it's being reseeded with this comet energy. This is a very karmic moon for you, Libras, but it's not bad. At least I don't think so. As long as there's not a lot of ego involved, I think you guys are going to be fine. Very cool, though. I just love that. Look at that. Oof. All right, let's talk about Virgo rising. Oh, wow. I love you, Virgo risings. I know so many of you. So many of you are coming and getting readings from me because I read Virgo differently. For me, Virgo is very intelligent. Yes, Virgo can be tidy. Yes, Virgo can be analytical. Yes, Virgo can be striving for perfection. But this is energy that I don't think tropical astrology really understands, because you have to look at the astronomy to get the most powerful archetype of Virgo. First of all, Virgo rising is a woman standing. And in some depictions, she's pregnant. In some depictions, she's older. This is kind of a hot Virgo. But Virgo is raw femininity. It's pure creation. There are over 1,200 black holes in the constellation of Virgo. So you guys are literally like powerful earth magic. That's the vibe that you give off because you're standing on the horizon with that divine feminine intelligence of creation and destruction. And you know precisely how it should be done. This is wow, really, really amazing, really, really powerful energy. And I also think that Venus rules Virgo. It's a much more feminine energy than Mercury can handle. Mercury is a negotiator, an exchanger, a partnership creator, and a contract arbitrator. You know, I'll give you this, you give me that. And you can't do that with divine feminine energy. You can't sell it to the highest bidder. The initiation of menstruation and pregnancy and childbirth and menopause and intercourse and everything that is divine feminine, you know, that sacrifice, that almost dying to bring in another soul into this world is the highest sacrifice you can make to spirit. And so it's super devoted, it's super holy. It is just the most beautiful divine feminine energy there is. And it literally can't be sold to the highest bidder. And I think we ignore that. I like Mercury with Libra because it's balanced. It's a concierge, it's a mediator, it's a representative, it's fair, it's honest. The true exchange is balance. You can't fake it there, you know? So anyway, that's my tangent on Virgo. Virgo's so big though that we have to sort of tease it out a little bit. There's sort of two parts to Virgo. Now, those of you that are early Virgo, that might be maybe September to mid-October, because this starts on September 15th, I want to say. So, and it's a very, very large constellation, 48 degrees. So the first 30 degrees are here. So probably the first 20 days of Virgo, these positions may be switched a little bit for you. If you are later Virgo, like if it was late October or even the first week of November, the house energy may change a little bit. So I have an interpretation for both. So for late Virgo ascendants, which would be this part of Virgo here, the eclipse moves across the axis of creativity and community. So it may be more like a Libra energy for you. If we go back and we look at this chart, you may be feeling all of this. Maybe the eclipse is in your fifth house and Saturn and Neptune are in your sixth house. So that's what I'm reading for you. We'll just gaze at this chart so you can get the because it moves, right? And when you move a whole house, like these things jump, but this can be blended energy. So at any rate, with the sun, Mercury, and the south node in your 11th house. So yeah, if you were early Virgo and this was up here, then this energy would be more in the 11th house. There's a temptation to remain tethered to old groups, networks, or collective identities that once defined you. Yet the moon and the north node in your fifth house call you back into your heart. Yes. This is the house of joy, play, romance, and creation. The eclipse reminds you that growth comes through what is alive and radiant within you, not from conforming to the voices of the collective. Saturn and Neptune retrograde in your fifth house or sixth house make this call both weighty and mystical. Illusions around joy and creativity are dissolving, and you're being pressed to give structure to what your heart longs to create. Jupiter in your ninth house expands your search for wisdom, urging you to explore belief, philosophy, and higher learning, but always in a way that feeds your own creative expression. Black Moon Lilith and the comet are either in your first house or in your second house. It'll probably be your first house for late Virgos. It demands authenticity in how you present yourself. If it's first house, it's new codes to reshape you, to change you into something else. And if it's in your second house, and that depends on your chart, then something is going to come in for money, property, value, abundance. There's going to be a new opportunity coming in that's being seeded for you with this comet. So Mars and Chiron are activating a first and seventh house energy here. So there might be reflections and projections in your relationships, Virgo rising. because of this. So your relationships may feel strained. This is also a great opportunity for healing and reconnecting at the soul level and really seeing each other in terms of your partnerships, your relationships, and your marriage. Pluto is in your will be in your fourth house, so something around the home and family is going to change um, for you. But you're being supported by something higher, something greater. So trust the process. Trust whatever's changing deep inside of you. Let that happen. Just be very mindful of your health. Now, if early Virgo, okay, so if you're here, if this energy is a little bit further down, then the sun and the moon move into a 12th house, 6th house energy here. So it's the axis of service and retreat. So this might resonate with you a little bit more, Virgos. It just depends. Your constellation's so big, you take up so much of the space, and you should, because your goddess is with the sun, Mercury, and the south node in your 12th house. There's a strong pull to hide, to retreat, or to continue carrying unconscious patterns from the past. The temptation is to disappear into solitude or to cling to spiritual frameworks that no longer sustain you. Yet the moon and the north node in your 6th house call you towards the tangible, towards the body, towards the disciplines of daily life. This is the place of work, health, service. The eclipse reminds you that your soul growth comes not from escaping the world, but from showing up in it with devotion and care. So it's the little things, right? Even if you don't feel motivated, sometimes just doing those little things can uplift your spirit in a lot of ways. Saturn and Neptune retrograde also sit in the 6th house, pressing you to build real structure around your healing work while dissolving illusions about what service should look like. Jupiter at the top of your chart in the 10th house offers expansion in career and visibility, but only if the work you present to the world is anchored in daily discipline. Black Moon Lilith in your 2nd house pushes you to face shadow around money and self-worth, demanding raw honesty about what you truly value. Mars is in your 1st house, charging your identity with energy. This may come with both strength and conflict because Jupiter square tests whether you're driving yourself in ways that deplete your body or elevate your work. The opposition to Chiron in the 7th house brings up old wounds in relationships, especially around imbalance in partnerships. Pluto at the base of your chart in the 4th house stirs deep transformation around family and foundation. And Uranus in the 8th shakes intimacy, finances, and trust, breaking open what needs renewal. Yeah, Virgo, you got a lot to deal with, but you can handle it because you're the boss. All right. Leo Rising is next. I love you, Leo Risings. Leo Rising. The sun is rising in your rising sign during this eclipse. This is so beautiful. So, Leo is the sun, it is the brightest expression of the spiritual self. The soul lesson with Leo is to learn the true meaning of love. So at the core of their being, the love of the self and the inward quest is like your highest calling. It's such a joyful energy. Whenever and I talked about this with the general energy, it's so loving and expressive that its light will pierce the chinky armor of anybody that has any darkness in them. And if they're not ready to feel that light, that warmth, if they'd rather just stay closed off, Leo makes them so uncomfortable. And this is the energy, the vibe that you like put off right away. So Leo rising, if people are, most people will love you, some people will hate you, but you will not get a mild reaction either way. So your job is to work on your self-worth. The more you love yourself, the more people are going to love you. You are the poster child, the textbook definition of someone who, if they love themselves, they're very magnetic. So keep doing it. All right, let's look at the chart for you. So, all right, Leo rising. So this is going to be a 1st house, 7th house eclipse energy for you. We're going to have Saturn and Neptune in your eighth house, Mars in your third house. The comet is also in your third house. Jupiter is in your 11th house. Uranus is in your 10th house. And Chiron is in your ninth house, while Venus is sitting right on your ascendant, too. So it just depends on if you're early Leo or late Leo, but Venus is in a very wonderful part of the sky right now for you. You're going to feel the click as Venus changes from Cancer to Leo. You're going to feel a rush of creative energy as that transit takes place. So this is lighting up the axis of self and partnership. The Sun, Mercury, and South Node are in your first house, and there's a temptation to cling to old ways of identifying yourself. You may feel attached to the roles you have played, the stories you have told about who you are, and the performance of your radiance. Yet the Moon in the North Node in your seventh house is pulling you toward growth through relationship. This is the house of partnership, negotiation, and reflection. The eclipse asks you to let go of old performance of self and open the mirror of the other, where you can be seen and shaped in a way that brings more authenticity. Saturn and Neptune retrograde in your eighth house intensify this call. They dissolve illusion around intimacy, trust, and shared resources while pressing you to build real structure in the ways you merge with others. Mars in your second house energizes your values and resources. But the opposition to Chiron in your ninth house exposes old wounds around belief and meaning. This can test whether your sense of worth comes from your own embodied truth or from external validation. Jupiter in your 11th house expands your connection to friends and community, showing that new opportunities may come through groups or collective visions. Black Moon Lilith in your third house with the comet demands honesty in how you speak. This energy will not allow you to soften your message for the sake of harmony. It's going to bring you a whole new message. And Venus in the 12th house turns your love and creativity inward, inviting you to find beauty and compassion in solitude and hidden places. Yes, you're going to feel that as soon as she moves in there. Uranus retrograde in your 10th house shakes your career and public presence, urging you to break free from roles that limit your authenticity. Pluto retrograde in your 6th house transforms your work, health, and daily rhythms. Both planets press for deep restructuring in how you show up in your service and how you present yourself to the world. All right, Leo rising. Cancer rising, you're next. The sweetest, softest, most hardest constellation to see, but very powerful. This is such a cool energy, Cancer. I found out I was a Cancer sun, and I really didn't have a whole lot of understanding about it until I switched to the true sky, and it fits me so much better. These stars were traditionally called the gateway of men, and it's ruled by the moon, and they are someone that can you're just a nurturing energy. Like whenever you walk into a space, you become the missing piece. You know how to fill the holes in the energy. You know how to harmonize with energy that's dissonant or out of balance. And you know exactly what to do. It's almost as if you can channel it. You also are very loyal, but only to a very select few. There's very few people that know you inside and out. And you like it that way. But once people are in that inner circle, they have to do something pretty atrocious to be kicked out. Like there's so much forgiveness and compassion in you that you can see through people's flaws and problems and see the true inner them. You can see them. You can see their soul and you love them. And Cancers, you tend to be pretty gullible and you believe what people will tell you. If it seems as though their heart is authentic, you will believe them. So yeah, sometimes you can seem aloof because you are protecting that soft, squishy core inside. You can even be a little bit snippy on the outside because of the hard shell and the sharp pincers that you have. But overall, very nurturing energy. And when someone is bearing their soul to a Cancer, it's the safest place to be because the Cancer will hold that space for you. So beautiful Cancer rising. For here's your chart. So this is going to be a second house, eighth house lunation for you. The Mars Chiron opposition will be a third and a ninth house opposition. Venus in the first house, Jupiter in the 12th, in a trine with Lilith and the comet in the fourth house, and the North Node. Saturn and Neptune are in your ninth house, and Pluto is in your seventh house. Okay. So this eclipse is moving across the axis of resources and intimacy. With the Sun, Mercury, and the South Node in your second house, there is a temptation to hold tightly to an old definition of security, worth, and maternal and material stability. You may find yourself clinging to possessions, money, or even self concepts that once made you feel safe. However, the moon in the North Node in your eighth house is calling you into deeper waters. This is the house of intimacy, vulnerability, trust, shared resources, and transformations. This might be where you actually have to become a soft shell crab, Cancer rising, and trust the immersion that you're going through. So you have to release your attachment to what you own and instead lean into the vulnerability of what you share. Saturn and Neptune retrograde in your ninth house dissolve illusions around belief, philosophy, and higher learning. You are being asked to clarify what you truly believe, not in theory, but actually in practice. Chiron in your 10th house highlights the old wounds around visibility, around um, authority, and vocation. Mars in your third house pushes your voice and your communication, and his opposition to Chiron brings tension between how you speak and how you are seen. Jupiter in your 12th house expands your inner world, blessing solitude and spiritual practices. He's reminding you that unseen forces are working in favor when you make space for silence. It's hard with Gemini in the 12th house. But this can be a space of dreams, very, very informing dreams. Black Moon Lilith in your fourth house insists that ancestral, and the comet too. There's some, so this comet's is activating something in your ancestral DNA, something that hasn't been activated for a very, very, very long time. You can't hide anything anymore either. When this comet comes through here, the codes that you're getting there is going to bring your Black Moon Lilith to light. Venus is bringing you grace, beauty, and magnetism with your presence because you're going to have like Leo in your first and second house. Venus will be in your first house. Square to Lilith, though, this wants you to be the raw you, the raw creative you. Don't gloss it up. Don't polish it up. Don't put a dress on it. Just be the raw creative you. Uranus retrograde in your 11th house shakes your friendships and networks, urging you to find freedom and authenticity in your communities. Pluto retrograde in your 7th house transforms your partnerships, demanding honesty and depth in a way you connect with others. The balance between intimacy and independence is being rewritten in your life, Cancer. Woo, we might get at the soft, juicy core of you. All right, Gemini rising, ruled by Mercury. This is such an intelligent energy. It's funny, it's sarcastic. Like you tell jokes, it goes over people's head. And when it goes over their head, that's even funnier. That's how smart you are. You're also very creative. You also know a lot of things. So intelligence and wisdom, sometimes they're not the same thing, but a lot of times Gemini rising has this air of being somebody that knows a lot of things. Um, the only problem that comes along with you guys is when people don't understand you, you get really impatient. You can't. Sometimes if you have more calming influences with your ascendant, you can do it. You're more like a teacher, but for the most part, you're like, they just don't understand. Sometimes you can channel that into just being a teacher and a speaker, which is really, really good. So, all right, let's look at your chart. Let's see. All right, Gemini rising. So Jupiter in your first house, Venus in your second house, the sun and south node in your third house, while the eclipsed moon is in your ninth house in Aquarius, Mars in your fourth house, Black Moon Lilith and Comet in fifth house, Pluto entering your eighth house, Saturn and Neptune in your ninth house, Chiron in your 10th house, Uranus entering your 12th house. This is a lot. This is a lot of energy. The eclipse is going to stretch across the axis of communication and vision, third and ninth house. Sun, Mercury, and South Node in your third house. There's a temptation to stay within familiar patterns of thought, speech, and information. You're going to feel drawn to the safety of what you already know or the way you have always expressed yourself. The moon and the North Node in your ninth house calls you into a broader horizon. This is the house of belief, philosophy, higher learning, and exploration. The eclipse asks you to let go of the chatter of the small stories and embrace the wisdom of the larger vision. Saturn and Neptune retrograde in your 10th house dissolves illusions about your career and public role while demanding structure in the way you pursue your calling. Chiron retrograde in your 10th house stirs old wounds about authority, structure, and legacy. And Mars at the base in your fourth house agitates home and family dynamics. This opposition is going to test your foundation to see if you're strong enough to support your visibility in the collective. Jupiter in your first house brings expansion. Always be careful with Jupiter in your first house. You can gain weight here because Jupiter, first house is your physical body too. So it can expand. So be careful with overeating here. But it also brings confidence and possibility. It's a time when your presence can be especially magnetic and full of promise. Black Moon Lilith and Comet in the fifth house insist on creative truth. There's going to be a new creative idea that comes for you, a new seed, a new vibration, a new code. You will not be able to hide your joy or dim your expression here. Venus making a square in the second house brings blessings to money and resources. But this tension reminds you not to polish your values in ways that deny the wild or the authentic. It's going to be a very interesting and weird time coming up. Uranus retrograde entering your 12th house stirs awakening in your inner world, shocking old unconscious patterns into awareness. Pluto in your 8th house demands depth and honesty and intimacy, finances, and trust. These outer planets remind you that both your hidden and shared spaces are undergoing profound transformation. And so Gemini rising with Pluto moving through your 8th house, this is going to be a 15-year transit for you. Lots of things will change. It's a big time. It's a beautiful time. It's when you really realize how beneficial and powerful Pluto is in your life. All right. Taurus rising. This is my rising sign. And Taurus rising has the chart ruler of Venus. And this is an earthy sign. This is a sensual sign. This is a go with the flow vibe. Whenever you bump into me, you're not going to feel very stressed out for time unless I am stressed out for time, which I try not to do. I do have some Saturnian tendencies, so I have to balance that. But at any rate, normally if I'm in a good space, you're going to feel very relaxed, very at ease, wanting to enjoy, it's a different sense of timing. Like every moment is right now, and that's all that matters. There's no past, there's no future. It's just right now. It's all made up of right now moments. And that's very Taurian energy. So Taurus rising will find peace in nature, listening to the birds, to water running, to the fire crackling, the smell of the salt air, the sand beneath your toes, the rain on your face. This is feeling things through the body kind of energy, very much grounded into what it feels like to be human, to have on the avatar and what that feels like in the nervous system. On your chart, Taurus rising, the eclipse energy is going to be a 4th and 10th house axis, home and career, Sun, Mercury, and the South Node in the 4th house. We're going to be tempted to stay rooted in family patterns, ancestral stories, or the familiar foundations that once defined your sense of safety. We maybe feel drawn to protect our home and cling to the past. The moon in the North Node in our 10th house is calling us outward toward our public life, toward our vocation, and the role we are meant to play in the world. The eclipse asks us to release attachment to the old foundations and instead step into the authority of your calling. Go Taurus risings. Saturn and Neptune retrograde in our 11th house, 10th house, dissolves illusions around groups, communities, and the collective vision while pressing us to build structures in our networks. Chiron retrograde in the 11th house brings old wounds from the unconscious to the surface, especially through dreams or hidden fears. Mars in our 5th house stirs creative energy and joy, but in tension with Chiron can highlight how suppressed wounds affect your ability to fully express yourself. Mars could also be 6th house if you're Taurus rising. Jupiter in the 2nd house expands our resources and our sense of self-worth. This is a blessing that reminds us abundance flows when you align with your values. Black Moon Lilith and the comet in our 6th house exposes shadow in work, health, and daily rhythms. There will be a gift of health, a gift of routine, a gift of devotion here. Venus in the 3rd house will bring us harmony and communication in short journeys, but the square to Lilith demands that our words include honesty about what is raw and untamed. Uranus retrograde in our 1st house, sometimes 12th house, shakes your very identity and subconscious, pressing you towards freedom and authenticity. Pluto retrograde in your 9th house transforms your philosophy, spirituality, and higher learning. Together, these outer planets are reshaping both how you see the world and how you show yourself within it. All right. Go Taurus rising. Aries rising, you're next. So Aries rising, ruled by Mars, a fire sign. So this is intense. This is a desire. This is the will of action. This is a seedling sprouting through the grass and up through the soil and up into the light of the sun. There's no fear here. It's very courageous energy. They're very impatient also. They are very spontaneous. They love competition. It's just a very bright and positive energy. Like you feel good when you're around Aries. They get you excited. They get you pumped. People tend to follow you because you're very assertive and you're willing to say, okay, come on, follow me. I have no idea where we're going, but let's do it. It'll be great. So it's the bold action. It's the confidence that people are attracted to with you. All right. So for Aries rising, the eclipse is going to light up the axis of creativity and community, the 5th house and the 11th house. Sun, Mercury, and South Node are going to be in the 5th house. And there's a temptation to cling to the old ways of expressing yourself through performance, romance, or even the pursuit of pleasure. You may feel attached to familiar outlets for creativity or to stories of how you have always shined. Yet the moon with the North Node in your 11th house is calling you toward growth through collective vision and community. This is the house of friendships, collaborations, and shared ideals. The eclipse is asking you to release the pressure to create for yourself alone and instead allow your creativity to flow into the larger circles that you are a part of. Saturn and Neptune in your 11th house intensify this pull towards community. They dissolve illusions around groups and networks while pressing you to build authentic structure in the way you participate with others. Chiron in your 12th house reveals old wounds in hidden or unconscious places. This can bring up themes of solitude, exile, or self-undoing, and asks you to confront where you may sabotage yourself in silence. Mars in your 6th house energizes work, health, and daily rhythms. His drives can be productive, but it also risks burnout if your actions are not aligned with healing. Jupiter in your 3rd house expands your mind and your voice, bringing blessings to study, writing, and communication. Black Moon Lilith in your 7th house insists that your relationships be honest and raw. She will not allow you to keep peace at the expense of truth. And 3i Atlas is bringing you perhaps even a new relationship, a new connection Venus in your fourth house brings harmony to your home and family, but the square to Lilith reminds you that beauty at home must also include the truth and authenticity. Uranus in your first house, about to enter your second house, shakes up your very sense of identity and value. You're being pressed into freedom, whether you're ready or not. Pluto retrograde in your ninth house transforms your beliefs and philosophies, demanding that you root your vision in a deeper truth. Together, these outer planets remind you that both the inner sense of self and the way you see the world are undergoing profound change. All right. Pisces, another huge constellation. This is like 44 degrees, 42 degrees, something like that. So we're going to talk about Pisces in a late and early fashion as well, just as we did with Virgo. This is the dreamer energy. This is an imaginative energy. Pisces risings are half here and half in the dream world. They're intuitive, they're compassionate, but they're also so giving that their energy can be depleted by others. You all require a large amount of alone time compared to any other sign. You must resolve the duality of life by being in the world, but not of the world. Again, very empathic, very intuitive. You long for those transcendental experiences, or you can feel the bliss of spirit. When you get triggered, sometimes you can flee from reality. Like there'll be less sightings of you, Pisces rising. Neptune is your chart ruler, and that's the spiritual shaman of the zodiac. And you've had ego deaths. You've gone to the depth of your darkest places and back because of your deep connection to the Akashic record. You're super wise when it comes to the spiritual and woo stuff. Your dreams are very powerful, and you guys have an ability to have good control in your dream state. If you could have it your way, you would actually take everybody to your dreams. Like let's all go to my dream. It's such a better place. All right, so let me read both early and late Pisces. Okay, Pisces. So if you are early Pisces, so Pisces will start in March. I want to say March 10th, somewhere around there, and we'll go all the way to April 20th. So for the March babies, oh, this would be for sun sign, but this is the section where the sun would travel. If this part of the chart is on the ascendant or in the first house, this is what we call a early Pisces. Late Pisces is moving into the later spring, like the April timeframe. And that is where Chiron is. So there will be a blending of these two energies. It just depends on when you look at your birth chart. Is the dividing line between Pisces and Aquarius way up here, or is it down here? Where is this border? Is it here or is it up here? Because you can be a Pisces rising in a large range, and it does overlap with the house energy. So here we go. Early Pisces rising. This is the axis of self and partnerships. Actually, I think I might have it backwards. Okay. Yeah. So late Pisces, which is here. So if this part of the chart is up here, this will be 12th and 6th house. So there's a temptation to stay caught in old patterns of work, health, and duty. You might feel pulled to hold on to routines that keep you busy but do not nourish you. Yet the moon in the north node in your 12th house call you to retreat, reflection, and the mystery of the unseen world. This eclipse will ask you to release attachment to the grind and to embrace the healing that comes from stillness, solitude, and spiritual connection. Saturn and Neptune retrograde also rest in the 12th house, pressing you to dissolve illusions about your hidden life while building real practices that anchor your spiritual discipline. Chiron in your first house brings old wounds of identity and selfhood to the surface. This may feel raw, but it is also an invitation to claim yourself with compassion. Mars in your 7th house stirs energy of partnerships, and his opposition to Chiron tests whether your relationships support your healing or simply reinforce old wounds. Jupiter in your 4th house blesses your home, and family life, bringing expansion and opportunity to your roots. Venus in your fifth house opens joy, creativity, and love, reminding you that beauty and play are medicine. Black Moon Lilith and Comet in your eighth house demand honesty around intimacy, power, and shared resources. Uranus in your second house or third house shakes your values, finances, friends, and local environment. Pluto in your 10th house transforms your public role and career, ensuring that you show up in the world and it aligns with your deeper truth. So that is late Pisces. Now earlier Pisces. So if this energy is where it looks like it is right now, this is going to be more of a first house energy, this moon and sun, okay? First and seventh house. So it'll be self and partnership, the ascendant and the descendant, the self and the reflection of self. So there's going to be a desire to cling to old patterns in relationships. You may feel attached to roles that you've played with others or to ways of defending yourself through partnerships. Yet the moon and the north node rising in your first house call you into your own becoming. The eclipse asks you to step out of the shadows of others and to embody the fullness of your own presence. Saturn and Neptune retrograde in your first house make this initiation both sobering and spiritual. You're being asked to dissolve illusions about who you are while also building the structures to embody your true self. Chiron in your second house will bring up wounds around worth and security, pressing you to find value within yourself rather than through external validation. Jupiter in your fourth house brings blessing to home and family. Again, with the expansion, you will have Comet and Libra in the eighth house. Basically the same thing that we read for late Pisces. And then Pluto is in the 11th house for early Pisces rising. And this transforms your friendships and collective vision, reshaping your sense of community and belonging. So lean in Pisces. You basically the message is going inward, and whatever house these luminaries fall in, you can use that energy. All right, Aquarius rising. So here is Aquarius, and this is the rising sign. This is the age we're in, right? This is energy of this is an air sign, even though it's called a water bearer. This is like the court jester, the wise old fool, the lunatic of the zodiac. They're very aloof and very sarcastic. As long as you don't want to talk about the weather or the neighborhood gossip, they will welcome you into their strange world of thoughts and feelings. They'll just go on and on and on and on. And similar to like that optimistic Sagittarius energy, they have a desire for freedom. They want to think and they want to roam and they want to try new things. They're usually really far ahead of everyone else, though, mentally, emotionally. They connect dots that most people are not ready to connect. You guys need alone time, but again, not too much alone time, because if you're too much in your own head, you will overvalidate some of those mental loops. You have to be very compassionate with people because they will not understand you. And you must be around people that are optimistic, futuristic, and philosophical. So anytime you get around low vibe energy, you got to go. Your logic level is so high and you're so unattached to the duality of the realm that when people get low vibe, you just don't get it and you have to go. So that's kind of what happens when you just don't vibrate. So you move on. And also you're very hard to shock because of that logical side of you. You just don't like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. All right, here's your chart. So you'll be able to see that the moon is in the first house and the sun and the south node are in your seventh house. Saturn and Neptune are in your second house. Pluto's in your 12th house. Uranus is in your fourth house. The Chiron Mars opposition is second and eighth house. Jupiter's in your fifth house, trying to Lilith and comet in your ninth, and Venus is in your sixth house, entering Cancer. So let's read this for you, Aquarius. This is across the axis of self and partnership. So you're going to be tempted to keep defining yourself through others. You might be clinging to old relationships, agreements, patterns of compromise that have kept you safe. You may feel with the moon and the north node here in your first house, you're being called into a sort of becoming energy. It's time to step out on your own. The eclipse is asking you to step out from behind the mirror of partnership and claim your true authentic self. Saturn and Neptune retrograde in your second house dissolve illusions around money, values, and security, while pressing you to build real structures that honor your worth. Chiron in your third house exposes wounds of your communication and thought patterns, asking you to notice when your words have been silenced or distorted by pain. Mars in your eighth house energizes intimacy and shared resources, while his opposition to Chiron may stir conflict between how you speak your truth and how you merge with others. Jupiter in your fifth house blesses your creativity, romance, and joy, reminding you that play and expression are forms of wisdom. Venus in your sixth house brings beauty into your work and health, although her square to Black Moon Lilith insists that harmony in your routines must also include honesty about what has been suppressed. Uranus, retrograde in your fourth house, shakes your home and family life, pressing you to release what has grown stagnant in your foundations. And then Pluto, retrograde in your 12th house, transforms your inner world, stirring hidden truths, ancestral imprints, and unconscious patterns that are ready to be released. Black Moon and Comet in your ninth house demand truth in your beliefs and philosophies. You might even get a new nugget of truth or belief or higher discernment. Your search for meaning will be tested. The wild feminine archetype is asking you to find freedom in raw wisdom, not inherited dogma. Aquarius Rising. All right, Capricorn Rising. The goatfish, the OG. So imagine yourself a fish swimming in the deep waters of the sea. You're just sort of floating along, no place to go, no goal in mind. And then all of a sudden, you look up out of the water into the sky, onto the mountain in the land beyond, and you see a light at the top of that mountain. And that you begin a transformation where you change your fishy body and your apparatus for breathing air, and you literally transform yourself into a four-legged goat, and you pull yourself up that mountain to the light. This is Capricorn energy. It's so focused. It sees what it wants, and nothing can stop it. It's a determined energy. It's a grit. If you don't have a goal, you guys are lost at sea. You don't know what to do. You guys are very oriented towards structures and timelines. And you tend to long acknowledgement for the work you do. Capricorns do like to be pat on the head every now and then. If a Capricorn feels like they've been overlooked, then they'll try 10 times harder. People are going to see you as a leader because of this energy, especially if you have a goal, but you're sort of the steady, responsible kind of leader, not the inspiring kind of leader, unless you have a little bit more Sagittarius energy. But Capricorn rising, they're just the reliable one. It's almost as if people just know you're the one that can handle it. So this crosshair right here, just to point out to you, is where Pluto actually is. If you were to take a high-powered telescope and zoom into the space in the sky, you would see planet Pluto. It is not in Aquarius. It won't be in Aquarius until 2040. All right, here is the chart with Capricorn rising. Pluto's on your ascendant right now. So holy smokes, this is a bold reinvention of you as a Capricorn rising. Like you're a whole new person once this transit is complete through your first house, where whatever phase you're in, it's typically a 15-year journey. But the sun and moon are going to be in a second house, eighth house axis. So it's tapping into the axis of resources and intimacy. So sun, Mercury, and south node are in your eighth house, tempting you to cling to patterns of control, intimacy, and power. You might feel pulled to hold tightly to the ways you've merged with others in the past, whether through money, trust, or expression. The moon in the north node in your second house calls you back to your self-worth. It says, come on back. Come back to yourself. Who are you? Are you standing for that? Can you stand on your own without that? The eclipse asks you to release dependency on what is shared and step into the strength of what is yours. Saturn and Neptune in your third house dissolve illusions in your mind and communication. You're being asked to strip away stories that are no longer true and to discipline your words so that they align with clarity. Chiron retrograde in the same house exposes wounds in your thinking and speech. Old pain may surface around your ability to be heard, yet this is also an opening to heal the way you share your voice. Jupiter in your sixth house expands your work, health, and daily practice. Jupiter's presence here brings opportunities for growth through steady service and devotion. Venus in your seventh house blesses partnerships with harmony. There's a square here to Black Moon Lilith and the comet, warning against covering up the raw truths in relationships for the sake of appearances. So the comet might bring a new code, a new vibration, a new sequence for you to step out in the public in a totally different way, a totally new way, a cosmic way. Uranus in your Mars in your ninth house energizes your beliefs and philosophy, pushing you to act with conviction. The square to Jupiter, however, will test whether your actions in pursuit of truth support or overwhelm your daily balances. Uranus in your fifth house shakes your creativity, your joy, your love, urging you to find freedom in how you express yourself. Might be fourth house energy too. Pluto in your first house transforms your very identity, stripping away facades so that you can embody a more authentic power. Black Moon Lilith and Comet 3 Atlas at the top of your chart bring a cosmic omen to your public role. The wild feminine insists that your career and reputation be infused with brutal honesty and the willingness to confront what has been buried. Ooh, it sounds like a karmic cycle for you, Capricorn Rising. And finally, we get to Sagittarius Rising. So Jupiter rules your chart, the king of the planets. This is faith. This is abundance. This is optimism. This is expansion. There's a spiritual energy here where we believe, where we know the universe has our back. The next horizon always has the divine behind it. If home is where the heart is, then everywhere is home for Sagittarius because there's so much space to love everything and everyone. They are sometimes surprising in the way that they act because Sagittarius energy can be very hard to keep track of. So if you're a Sagittarius rising and you always have a lot of energy and people get tired around you, it's just because you have an expansive amount of energy. Not everybody's lucky to have that. You don't like old routines. If you're stuck in old routines or patterns, you will get really flighty and you will get depressed and you'll want to break away. Deep inside you, though, you do have a need for a routine, especially when there's a devotion or a ritual. Those are for some reason, very important to you. Like maybe brushing your teeth or taking the same way to work every day isn't cool with you. But when it comes to spiritual rituals, you're like, nope, this is how it's got to be done. This is how I must do it. So it's very interesting. It's kind of a paradox with Sagittarius. Now, let's look at your chart. On your axis, the eclipse is happening in your third and your ninth house. So this is the axis of vision and perception. Mercury, Sun, and the South Node are in your ninth house, tempting you to cling to old philosophies, teachings, or belief systems, especially in how you show yourself and how you have joy. You may feel attached to ways of understanding the world that once gave you guidance, but now hold you back. You're feeling that itch. The moon and the north node in your third house call you into presence, conversation, and the immediacy of your daily life. So for you, the next horizon may be right next door. So you need to release abstractions and step into the living truth that comes through words, connections, and deep experience. Neptune and Saturn retrograde in fourth house dissolve illusions around family, ancestry, and your emotional foundation. While pressing you to create structures that bring stability, Chiron retrograde in the same house brings old wounds from the past to the surface, especially those rooted in family dynamics or childhood experience. Mars in your 10th house energizes your career and your public life. Through his square to Jupiter in your 7th house, this can stir tension between partnership needs and your professional drive. Jupiter in the 7th house expands partnerships and alliances, offering blessings in relationships, though this growth will require balance with your vocation, with the 10th house, Mars. Black Moon Lilith and Comet in your 11th house. Ooh, you're going to get a new community, a new communication from a star family, perhaps. This is a galactic seed coming into our solar system, and it's going to be in your 11th house, which is community and groups. And so this comet may actually bring you into a new group. Uranus in your 6th house will shake up your work, your health, and your routines, asking you to kind of go with the flow and be more authentic. Pluto in your 2nd house transforms your values and your sense of security, stripping away illusions around money and worth so that you can rebuild on solid ground. Beautiful, beautiful energy. All right, beautiful souls. That concludes the reading of the lunar eclipse through your rising signs. I hope this is helpful to you. I hope it is energy that at least gives you an aha moment. If it resonates something within you and you'd like to learn more about constellational astrology, it's really quite simple. We just use the tropical energies in the actual sky. There's no chakras or lunar mansions. If you want to learn more about it, join the Fellowship of 13 Signs, become a channel member, get into our community and just start talking with us. And you'd be surprised at what you learn and what you discover about yourself, about your sky, and about the world around you. So I'm honored and grateful to be able to bring this to you. And until the next time, I will see you all later. Namaste, my friends. Thank you.